Good morning, everyone. Before we begin, let me read out the flow of the program for this morning. This morning, we will begin with the welcome address, followed by a brief introduction and a video on the university. Then we shall invite the esteemed representative of James Cook University to present a brief overview of the institution. After the representative's presentation, we shall request the resource person to answer a few questions raised by the attendees in the Q&A segment. Then we shall conclude the session with a vote of thanks.
Albert Einstein rightly said, "Those who dare to dream often have a broader perspective in life and can turn the improbable to the possible."
Wow, that truly lifts our spirit and has the power to motivate us. This is what we are here for. Avenir 2021 is organized with a vision to empower and facilitate students to navigate their future and make their dreams real.
Clarity, commitment, inspiration, combined with a real plan, will move you along the path and to making your dream come true. It takes effort, energy, and commitment to achieve your goals. So you need to be sure it is what you really want before investing your time and resources into achieving it.
There is a powerful driving force inside every human being that, once unleashed, can make any vision, dream, or desire a reality. Good morning, everyone. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome dignitaries from the Ministry of Education, Honorable Chairman, Board of Directors, Dr. Shivakumar Manikam, and other esteemed members of the Board of Directors, officials from the Indian Embassy, Mr. Alkesh Joshi, Honorary President of Indian School Al-Wadi Al-Kabir Management Committee, presidents and members of the school management committees of all Indian schools in Oman and from the other schools and boards across the globe, principals, vice principals, heads of various departments, coordinators, teachers, parents, and all the enthusiastic aspirants. A very warm welcome to all present here virtually with us for this session on day 7 of FAVNIR 2021, which is set to be a 9-day global career program. This year, Indian School Al-Wadi Al-Kabir is proud to be the torchbearer for this global mega event under the aegis of Board of Directors, Indian Schools in the Sultanate of Oman. Welcome all once again. Your hosts for this morning are Kulsum Tajdar and Gauri Jayan of Class 9 from Indian School Al-Wadi Al-Kabir.
Dear audience, it is our pleasure and privilege to have you all here with us on this journey of making our dreams reality by making right choices on the intersection point of rising opportunity and life preparations.
You're requested to fill in the feedback form, which will be posted in the chat box towards the end of the session. Filling this form is necessary as it would fetch you a participation certificate. For those who have joined through YouTube, are requested to check the description box for the link of the feedback form.
Where you study can be almost as important as what you study. If you choose the right university, your time as a student is likely to be enjoyable and fulfilling. An increasing number of students are opting for Australia for its world-class education, post-study work opportunities, and excellent quality of living.
James Cook University is proud to be Australia's leading university for the tropics, ranked in the top 250 universities in the world. JCU provides the world-class facilities, career-focused courses, and leading research excellence as per the Times Higher Education Rankings 2022, an academic ranking of World Universities 2021. And it has been ranked number 1 in the world for marine and freshwater biology in 2017. At JCU, students explore, discover, grow through research and teaching that makes difference to people and societies, the natural world, and build environment and leave universities prepared for the competitive demands of the global workforce.
James Cook University stands out from the crowd for international students with its excellent and flexible program choices, a wide range of activities, affiliations with other internationally renowned universities, excellent teaching, exciting campus lifestyle, and whatnot. JCU has a wide array of opportunities, but sometimes it can be hard to know which way to look first. Today, we are honored to have with us an eminent representative, Ms. Natalie Spicer from James Cook University, who will discuss about programs and courses they offer. At JCU, you can choose from a wide range of real-world courses and turn your passion into a rewarding career. Before that, let's watch a video presentation about the university.
Hello, my name's Claire McGee and I'm the Director of International at James Cook University in Australia. We warmly welcome international students who are considering studying at James Cook University. James Cook University is consistently ranked 5 stars for student support, learner engagement and full-time employment outcomes. Our research is global and world-renowned, and we collaborate with research groups at some of the world's leading universities. We're proud to partner with universities from around the world, providing opportunities for students to develop their skills and knowledge for global careers, while developing important cultural and leadership skills for a competitive advantage in the global employment market. While living in North Queensland, our students can explore some of the world's most amazing locations, such as the Great Barrier Reef, the rainforest and the outback. Students here enjoy affordable cost of living in welcoming, safe and friendly communities. They make friends with fellow international students who come from all around the world. I thank you for taking the time to watch this short video to learn a little bit about James Cook University. The team at JCU offer a range of services to assist you as you explore your study options, and I encourage you to make the most of these to learn more about our wonderful university. Thank you.
That was indeed a splendid video. Dear audience, you're requested to post your queries in the chat box. Our distinguished speaker will answer them in the Q&A segment. Now I call upon our guest speaker for the session, Ms. Natalie Spicer from James Cook University. Over to you, ma'am, for your presentation.
Thank you so much, girls. What a wonderful introduction and what a wonderful overview of the university. I am not too sure I even have much to add. I think you've been more positive and full of praise than I could have possibly been myself. So what I'm going to actually spend some time on for everybody today is going through some of the unique points of difference about our university, because it's, as the girls rightly said, it can be daunting, it can be overwhelming. There are a lot of things to think about and a lot of choices to make. So what I'd like to do today is really focus on what makes us different and the kind of students that fit with our university. So I will share my screen and do a presentation for you. There's quite a lot of slides, but they're mostly beautiful photos. So think of this, if nothing else, as a beautiful tourist video of one of the most beautiful parts of not only Australia, but also of the world. Here we go. So we are James Cook University, Australia. And as you can see from this opening photo, we are very clear about where we are and what we stand for. We are based in the tropics of North Queensland. We are right on the Great Barrier Reef, and we have a huge focus on environmental sciences, STEM, marine science, and general sciences as well. These are some of our students you can see right here, and it truly is an experience like no other in the world. When you travel to North Queensland from far and wide, there are some of the world's absolutely most unique experiences to have in the classroom and out of the classroom. So as I said, we are right on the doorstep of the Great Barrier Reef, where we have students exploring and studying. You can encounter marine life if you're studying aquaculture, ecology, zoology, marine sciences, or maybe just as part of one of our JCU dive clubs that go out on the weekends. We are absolutely very connected with the rainforest as well. So there's a lot of ecosystems nearby for students to go out and do field work, as well as in areas like geology, with one of the world's oldest natural rainforests. And of course, for Australia as well, you get the good old-fashioned outback. We are very close to areas that look very much like this as well. So you really have the reef, the rainforest, the outback, places where all our students go, whether you're going to study medicine or whether you're going to study agriculture, you can be sent out to places that are truly unique to have your educational experience. We are also home to some of Australia's most well-known unique wildlife. Just outside my front door, we normally get some kangaroos hopping by in the evening. It's truly a very Australian experience. And in the middle of all that, we have James Cook University. So that gives you a bit of an idea about where we are and what we look like. This is one of our study spaces for students. And what you'll notice is that it is an outdoor study space, as many of our study spaces are, because we are blessed with this beautiful climate. So we very, very rarely need to go inside. We have an amazing, amazing lifestyle in the far north of Australia. So I'm going to flick through a few key points here. I won't be too detailed about any specific courses or requirements because I know that there's a lot of choices to be made. So I'll give you a broad overview. So this is an image here of our of Cairns, on the waterfront in Cairns. So for those of you who are not too familiar with Australia, let's start by saying it's a very big place. It's not just a big place, it's an incredibly large country. It's the 6th largest country in the world. So students who think about coming to stay with family or coming to live near friends, it's not as easy as hopping from one place to another. We are truly incredibly spread out. By comparison, you can fit Australia very easily into, Europe very easily into Australia as well as the US. So we are a very large place. And where JCU is situated is up here in tropical North Queensland. So the majority of Australia, about 98% of the population, lives down this east coast. So we have Cairns, Townsville, down to Brisbane, Sydney and Melbourne, all the way down the coast of Australia is where about 98% of people live. We also have a campus in Singapore, which you can see on the screen there. And to give you an idea of where we're located, like I said, the climate and the weather is beautiful. We're exactly on the on the Tropic of Capricorn. So we have a very, very steady climate all year round. This is our home in Townsville. So although we are in the far north of Australia, we're not a small regional community. We are actually quite a large city, considering that we are outside the center of the big business. 195,000 people, the largest city in the top half of the country. So a real hub for business, for construction, for education, for healthcare. One of the fastest growing centres in regional Australia and an incredibly diverse economy. So education, construction, engineering, mining, transport, all filtering through this part of the country. And we're also home to a lot of scientific organisations. So we have a lot of agreements with the CSIRO, which is the Australian Research Authority, as well as the Australian Institute of Marine Science, the Bureau of Meteorology, and the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park Authority. So our students are incredibly well tapped in to research organisations. Our other campus is based in Cairns, which is a little bit further to the north and a little tiny bit smaller with 170,000 people, but is right on the coast of the Barrier Reef. It is a clean, green city, and it's very heavily influenced by tourism, agriculture and education. So this is where a lot of our students go to work in tourism and study tourism. It's an incredibly bustling tourist destination. So as you can see, it's generally just beautiful pictures and very picturesque. And the reason that I have so many of these images here to show you is that it's really about a balance between study and your outside of the classroom life as well. And that's what we really excel at here. This is one of our buildings here. This is our science building where we have one of our staff cleaning the beautiful fish tank. So about JCU, who are we? What do we do? We are generally a generalist university. So we offer most things that students want to study. We also have some really important rankings that I'd like to focus on. And one of them is 5 stars for employment. So we actually send students out into the workforce with the 3rd highest graduate salary in the whole country. So that's not just about, it doesn't matter if you study in a big city or a small city. We are training up students in industries where they are earning really, really high starting salaries. We have heaps of engagement in industry placements, lots of lab time, lots of immersive learning, and lots of opportunities to work when you study. There's a few other rankings that are up here for you. As we said before, top 250 in the world. We are ranked number 25 in the world for minerals engineering. So for students interested in areas like mining. And like we said, a real hub for tropical sciences. So actually number 1 in the world for marine biology, number 2 in the world for biodiversity and conservation. And a lot of our faculties, a lot of our students and staff are really heavily focused on sustainability and environmental studies. It's really a part of who we are as a university. And as you can see, just to really hammer the point home, here is our beautiful campus in Townsville. This is our largest campus with about 12,000 students there. And about 900 to 1,000 international students. You can live on campus, you can drive to campus or get a bus to campus if you don't want to, but you can live here and work here and study here. And it's a beautiful, peaceful, pristine location, again, with wallabies bouncing around the campus as well. Our Cairns campus is likewise right in the middle of the gorgeous rainforest. Where we have a lot of students who, again, like to live on campus. It's a little bit smaller, so there's about 400 or 500 international students at Cairns, so it's slightly smaller. And again, you can live on campus or you can drive into the centre of town in about 10 minutes. So, student life. I've given you a pretty good idea about what we're passionate about and what we like to do here in North Queensland. But something really important is that because we are a smaller university with a smaller group of international students, about 1,500 altogether, we have really, really close connections with all of our international students. So no student becomes a number, essentially. We have dedicated staff who know the names of students. They know how to help people. If there's a trouble, something personal, something professional, something with family, something with your studies, they will get in there and help you and treat you like really one of the family. And that's one of the things that we can offer people by being a little bit smaller and a little bit more close-knit than our big city counterparts. We have a lot of student clubs and societies. You might want to join a group that's based on something like music, playing drums or guitar. You might want to join the dive club or a sports group. You might want to join a religious group, a cultural group, a political group, all different things that you would get in any other university in terms of clubs and societies, you will find here as well. And of course, like I said, our most popular club for students to join is the dive club. So students can come here and for very reduced prices and with really, really good group of friends, they can learn to scuba dive outside of class time hours. They can learn to dive. They go on holidays together. They take weekends away. It's a beautiful way of building community amongst all of our students. And of course, general life experiences are pretty relaxed, positive beach culture. It's really very much what you think of Australia in a tourism ad. So like I said, we have lots of support for students because we are a little bit smaller. So picking you up at the airport, giving you a dedicated orientation experience, giving you mentor programs, running lots of events. Every week we run a morning tea event for students. There's dinners happening. We've had 3 big international student dinners and events and gala events just in the last 6 weeks. So we really, really take time to bring everybody together into a community. These are just a couple of photos of the accommodation on offer. So this is up at our Cairns campus, and then this is down at our Townsville campus. So you can see one a little bit bigger than the other. So let's get down to a little bit more detail of what can you actually study. It's not all koalas and kangaroos and surfing, although that is a lot of it. So like I said, we are a generalist university. We have a number of different faculties and departments where you can study everything from medicine, dentistry, pharmacy, all the way through to marine biology, vet science, engineering, bachelors of engineering, masters of engineering, law, business, commerce, finance, accounting, really anything that sparks your interest, you're able to study with us. You're able to study courses that are accredited. So whether you're studying at JCU or whether you're studying at a university in, again, Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, your outcome will have the same value in the workforce. So you'll still have your stamp of accreditation on your business degree or your engineering degree or your medical degree, for example. We're simply offering a different environment in which to do your studies. So for example, when we have medicine students, we spend a lot of time training our medical students in rural, regional, remote, and Indigenous healthcare. We send our students out to do placements in areas where there may only be 1 or 2 doctors in town, and you have to really get in there and get your hands dirty and really take part in what is going on in a medical practice. You're not necessarily just shadowing somebody in a hospital. You're really having to be active and proactive, because a lot of our students leave and go to remote communities in the Pacific Islands, parts of Southeast Asia, or places in Australia where they need to do everything themselves. They can't simply be a very niche specialist. So we train students with a slightly different mentality, but as I said, with the same qualification as anybody from any big city school. And we do get a really diverse group of students into all of those programs. We are not really heavy on one country, one nationality. We have an incredibly diverse student cohort. Again, we have programs across all levels of study, so study abroad all the way through to doing your PhD. And like I said, it's about 1,500 students altogether internationally. So they're really spread out all throughout the student experience. I don't want to show you any too scary animals. This is one that looks scary, but is actually very lovely. This is it's called a monitor. But what this is just telling you about is some of the research facilities that we work with. So a lot of our students are very engaged with actual practical research that is taking place. It's not simply a fact of you're studying in a university and over there someone is doing the research. You really get to be a part of it, because we are so much more of a connected, intimate environment than a giant institution. We have a startup centre. So a lot of universities, of course, have similar things, but this is really targeted for, our business and engineering students and IT, of course. We have a startup facility here where we mentor and support students who are entrepreneurial to invest in their startup programs. So that might be something to do with environment and sustainability, or something completely different. There's no limits on that. So we try to really appeal to any and everything that students may want to pursue in their lives. We also are developing a technology innovation complex, which is focused on students going into science, technology, engineering, and maths. So all of our key STEM facilities, as well as a huge way to generate employment in the industry and in the region. So the last thing I'll tell you about just before I finish is just to talk about this part of Australia for one more second. So as everybody knows, it's been a very challenging couple of years where we haven't really been able to travel as much. We haven't been able to have our industry kind of working as hard as it normally does with education, with business and development and commerce. But what's been an incredible change in Australia is people leaving big cities and moving towards smaller communities. So one of the most important things I can say to students is that somewhere like Townsville or Cairns, we are booming and bustling, and we have never stopped. So there has never been COVID essentially in this part of the country. There's never been lockdowns. There's never been, nothing has ever had to stop. Students haven't lost their jobs. Businesses haven't shut down. This is a part of the country that is really still running at full speed. So when students come here, when they get to us, they don't have to cross their fingers and hope that there's part-time jobs, or cross their fingers and hope that when they graduate, things pick up. What they'll find is that they are going to find a job while they study, and they're going to find a job when they graduate. And when they're living in a regional area such as Townsville or Cairns, they're able to access an extended post-study work visa as well to stay a little bit longer in Australia. So there's a lot of really exciting reasons why it's a good idea to try a different and slightly more regional part of the country. I know I come from Sydney, which is 6 million people originally. And now I'm up in Townsville, which is 200,000 people. And more than anything, I noticed the vibrancy of everything, the hustle and the bustle, and people knowing your name when you go out, and having, your local places that people recognize you from. And like I said, things are still going here. We didn't really stop. So as soon as we're able to get students back for semester 1 next year, we're just going to keep on rolling as quickly as we can. So thank you everybody so much for listening to the presentation. It was really, really a pleasure to talk to you all. And if you have any questions, more than happy to answer them. So thank you so much, girls. Back over to you.
Thank you, ma'am. It was truly an enriching and empowering session. Ma'am, may I now invite our moderator for the session, Ms. Sheena, to share with you the questions raised by our audience. Over to you, Sheena, ma'am.
Thank you, Gauri. Good morning, and thank you, Natalie, for a very comprehensive session. There are some questions asked by our aspiring participants. May I ask you, ma'am?
Please.
The first question is, what is the scope for electrical engineering and the fee structure as well?
That's a very good question. And I'm sorry I didn't mention that at the time. So one thing that I really wanted to focus on, so I very much appreciate the question, is that we do have some very, very affordable tuition fees and some very generous scholarships for students coming in. So students wanting to go into something like engineering, we generally look for an Australian equivalent of about 80 to 85%, depending on the major that you're going to be taking. You need to have studied mathematics in high school. But for students who reach a threshold of 80% Australian equivalent, which you would if you go into engineering, we also offer what is called the International Student Merit Stipend. So what that is while students are living and studying with us here in Australia, we offer $700 per month as a living allowance. And that is it's just under $500 per month. So that is in order to support students if you don't want to or don't have time to get a part-time job, you know that you're going to have a monthly allowance coming in through the whole duration of your degree. So that's something that's really important to mention, and I'm sorry I didn't before. But the other thing I'll just mention with entry requirements is in Australia in general, it's not a competitive entry process. So there are some degrees such as medicine, dentistry, vet science, where yes, there are limited places and it's competitive and you need to pass an interview and be the best of the group. But for many things like engineering, business, IT, nursing, most of our other degrees, as long as you meet the minimum requirements, you will be offered a place. And as long as you meet the scholarship requirement, you will be offered a scholarship. You don't need to do an extra application, and you don't need to do anything extra with your course application. There's no essays, there's no references, there's no interviews. We really just want to see your high school grades. And that's all it's a bit more objective than, seeing what your teacher thought of you with a college essay, for example. We really just want to know what your grades were like. But most of our students from across sort of South Asia and Middle East, where I work with, most of our students are successful in getting their International Student Merit Stipend, because typically they are very high achieving students, which is exactly what we want to have with us here.
Thank you, ma'am. The second question is, do you offer marine engineering?
Yes, absolutely. So as we said before, so we are number one in the world in marine science. What you're able to do is take something such as a Bachelor of Engineering in, I believe it's not called marine, I believe it's called aquaculture. Or you can do a dedicated Bachelor of Marine Science, which is the accredited undergraduate degree that you can take. But we produce literally the most employable marine biologists in the world. We are the home and have been the home of that. And if anybody has ever heard of James Cook, that's normally what they've heard of first. So anything in the industry of aquaculture and marine sciences, we will cover it, and we will almost guarantee, without being able to guarantee, that our students will get a job when they finish.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, is there scholarship scheme for medicine? Those have opted.
Very good question. Yes. So there's medicine, dentistry, and vet sciences are excluded from scholarships. They are the only programs we don't offer scholarships for. So I would say the reason that most universities don't offer scholarships for medicine is because it's a limited number of places. So we take about 50 students a year. But also, one of the things that's really important with medicine is that because we focus on this rural, regional, remote, Indigenous healthcare focus, our degrees tend to be less expensive than a lot of our partners in Australia, because we tend to be focused on a slightly different student cohort. So we are a more affordable medical program, and also our cost of living is much lower compared to what a lot of students would be used to living in a big city. But our top, what we call them our top three, so medicine, dentistry, and vet sciences, are the only programs where we don't offer scholarships.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, can you tell something about the accommodation in JCU or North Queensland?
Absolutely. So each of our campuses has an accommodation option, and they are really very new. They've only been built in the last, one is actually just being finished and will open for the first time in January. So we've seen it, but it's actually never been used. It's beautiful and shiny and new. Our other accommodation has only been open for a couple of years. We rebuilt everything. So you can have a choice at JCU. You get a choice of either living in a studio, which is a private room with a little kitchenette and a bathroom, or you can live in a room, which would be a bed, no kitchen, but a private bathroom, or you can live in more of a dorm style where you have a private bedroom with a bed, but you share the bathroom and the kitchen. There's different reasons for different options. Sometimes you find that people who live in the studios, even though they sound like it's a more appealing option, sometimes it's not as good for getting out there and making friends and bonding with people, because you don't ever have to leave your room. So we get a lot of students that go into the studio, and after 6 months, they say, well, I've met some friends. I actually want to transfer to this other dormitory where they're living, so that we can all make dinner together and watch TV together and have a little community. But we have space for about 2,000 students on campus. So there's a lot of beds. And normally living on campus is international students and exchange students. So we get a lot of American students, a lot of students from Scandinavia, from Europe, from India, from South Asia, Africa, Middle East. A lot of international students like to live on campus.
Thank you, ma'am. Do you offer course on speech therapy?
Oh, it's a very good question. Actually, no, I don't have a program to offer in speech therapy. That is quite a niche area of study. You can actually study a Bachelor of Science to begin with and do speech therapy as a master's degree. But it's quite difficult to find an undergraduate program, although I'm sure that Studyco can assist you, but it's a little bit more unusual to find a dedicated undergraduate degree in speech therapy. A lot of students will do a science program and then go into a postgraduate degree, or biomedical science, or something along those lines.
Thank you, ma'am. Do you offer courses on mass communication and journalism?
Yes, absolutely. So there's a couple of options for students. And I'm really glad that you asked that question, because it's easy to get wrapped up talking about environmental sciences and marine, and we have beautiful photos of the Great Barrier Reef and everything. But like I said, we are a generalist university with 16,000 students. So a lot of our students do things like media and communications. So you can study a general Bachelor of Arts, which is where you basically can build your own major. So you might choose to do politics and journalism, or a language, or a religious studies, or there's all different things you can mix in together and create your own major in an arts degree. Alternatively, you can do something that's a little bit more focused, which would be like a Bachelor of Media and Communications. They're from within the same college, so you would do some of the same units. It's just that a dedicated Bachelor of Communications is going to go a little bit deeper into those areas. You'll have a little bit more expertise than if you do a Bachelor of Arts. But people will choose the arts path if they say, for example, well, I'm not sure if it's creative writing or journalism or communication or politics, and they want a little bit of time to mix and match and try before they buy. they can still do that and make their decision. It just is a slightly different pathway to get to the same result, essentially.
Thank you, ma'am. Is IELTS compulsory for pursuing education in GCU?
Very good question. It's not always compulsory. It depends on your studies from high school. So if you've studied in an international school where you've taken an A-level or an IB, for example, then we will use your English results from high school. If you've studied a national curriculum, we often need to see an IELTS, or at least we need to verify if it meets the equivalent level for Australia. Or alternatively, if you want to go into a program such as nursing or law or psychology, these require a higher level of English. And so even if you have studied in an English-speaking school, not the university, but the Australian Accrediting Board, so the Australian Association of Nursing, for example, they will not accept anybody unless they do an IELTS. And if that's the case, we will tell you. But generally, if you've done an international qualification from an international school, there's no requirement for IELTS. If you do need to do IELTS, our requirement is a 6.0, or you can do a TOEFL or a PTE. We have a few different options for English level if you need to do one.
Thank you, ma'am. Is it semester or trimester system?
Yeah, good question. It's a bit of a mix, to be honest with you. So most of our degrees still run on a semester. We have some that have switched to a trimester to fit in a little bit better with some of our placements and our internships. But what we don't do is like an accelerated trimester. So if it's a trimester, it would still be like, for example, a 3-year bachelor degree. It's not an accelerated bachelor degree in 2 years. It's more that we added an extra trimester so people can go and do placements, internships over summer holidays. But most of our students will do a semester, and a semester is generally 4 classes. So you'll do 8 subjects per year, 4 semester 1, 4 semester 2, or you might have a degree that is split into trimesters, but it depends a little bit on what you're studying. So things like health sciences, nursing, health sciences, etc., they normally have their own way of operating, whereas humanities does things in a slightly different way.
Thank you, ma'am. Does a score of 710 in SAT English means no need of IELTS?
So we actually don't accept SAT directly into as an English qualification. So we will accept SAT to kind of, how can I say, support or supplement your academic scores, but SAT is not actually valid for English. So IELTS, TOEFL, PTE, or TOEFL online, some of the other alternatives that have been offered due to the pandemic. But SAT is not one of the recognized English qualifications.
Thank you, ma'am. Are there any projects for undergraduate level that a student can join?
Yes, absolutely. So that's one of the things when I mentioned before, the big long list of research centers and things like that. They are really hands-on with students. So it's a lot of the time in university in Australia, and you will hear this from other universities. This isn't unique to us. A lot of the time, it's really up to you how much you get out of your degree. So Australia is a little bit less, we don't push you as much in a specific direction at university. We lay it all out in front of you, and it's up to you to choose if you would like to take advantage of it. So the same way that there are things like societies and clubs and accommodation on campus, but you don't have to use any of those things. So there are in, whether it's in marine science, whether it's in engineering, whether it's in accounting, there are research projects that students can be part of in undergrad, not only in postgrad, but it really is up to the student to take the opportunity. It's not always, it's not built into your curriculum, for example. It'll be something that's an option that you can go and pursue. So there absolutely is the option there for students who are motivated and proactive and who want to be a part of that.
Thank you, ma'am. The last question, ma'am. Is it necessary to take a minor or a major subject, as some university insists on the same? And if so, what are the pros?
Of course, it's actually not necessary. Typically in Australia, it's not necessary to have a minor and a major. If you're doing something that's quite general, like arts, as I mentioned before, an arts degree, which is a humanities degree, you can either have one major or two majors. If you have one major, you'll basically have a whole lot of other classes where you could do 25 different things plus your major, or you could do 3 or 4 different things plus your major, but you will just have a major. Minors are not mentioned. It's not really something that we highlight. So you'll have a major or a double major. In other areas like engineering, for example, we don't call it a major, we call it a stream or a specialization. So when you go into engineering, you'll have a choice between, do you want to do mechanical, chemical, mineral, etc. And so when you graduate, you will have a specialization on your degree testema saying a Bachelor of Engineering, Chemical. And in that period, you may take some other classes in materials or minerals just to have a bit of experience, but it's not necessary to take a maximum or minimum amount of those.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for listening patiently and answering each and every question of
My
us.
pleasure.
Handing over to the comparators. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. We are truly grateful for your relevant, valued, and patient answers to all our queries. I'm sure the participants are enlightened and have got a true picture about the prospects available for them at your esteemed organization. Audience, do remember to kindly fill in the feedback form. Gratitude is a powerful catalyst for happiness. It is a spark that lights the fire of joy in our heart. As we have come to an end of this session, I deem it a privilege to put my gratitude into words. It is my pleasure to propose the word of thanks. On behalf of Indian School Al-Wadi Al-Kabir, the organizing team, and the entire audience, let me first express a profound gratitude to His Majesty Sultan Haitham bin Tariq Al Said for the magnanimous benevolence showered on the Indian diaspora in the Sultanate of Oman. May the Almighty shower abundant blessings on His Majesty and this peaceful and prosperous country of our residence. We extend heartfelt thanks to our eminent speaker, Ms. Natalie Spicer from James Cook University. This session was truly informative and enlightening. It opened up new vistas in front of us. Our deepest sense of appreciation and gratitude to Dr. Shivakumar Manikam, Chairman, Board of Directors, Indian Schools in Oman. Thank you, sir, for your encouraging presence and guidance in all our efforts. Our sincere thanks to all these teams members of various Board of Directors, CBC officials, distinguished members of MOA Oman, and officials of the Embassy of India, Sultanate of Oman, for their overwhelming encouragement at all times. Our heartfelt thanks to Mr. Alkesh Joshi, the Honorary President, Indian School Al-Wadi Al-Kabir Management Committee, and other members of the School Management Committee for their profound encouragement at all times. I also wish to take this opportunity to express our heartfelt gratitude to our prudent captain of the ship, Mr. Tien Rao, Principal ISWK. Honorable principals of various schools spread across the globe, vice principals, assistant vice principals, coordinators, supervisors, and the entire teaching fraternity for their support and guidance. I wish to thank each and every parent and student for their valuable presence in making this session a grand success.
We are indeed grateful to our platinum sponsor, Studyco, gold sponsors, Chain Group of Institutions, Grey Matter Academy, Vellore Institute of Technology, Sri Ramachandra Institute of Higher Education. Bronze sponsors, Middle East College Oman, Thapar Institute of Engineering and Technology, Dallas Baptist University, MIT World Peace University, Pune. Digital marketing partner, Spectrum, media sponsor, The Arabian Stories, and valued donors. An event of this kind requires the coordination of a committed team. My earnest and heartfelt thank you to my ISWK team behind the scene working tirelessly and making Avenue 2021 a tangible reality. Last but not the least, I thank Almighty God for making this session a great success. Thank you all. Please check the Avenir website, avenioman.com, for the details of the upcoming sessions. Take care and buckle up for the next session. Signing off for this session, your compares Kulsum and Gauri.